Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Steel City Underground podcast. This is week 6 of the WTF, What the Football in the NFL, and I'm coming live to you from Southern California. So I am solo this week. I kind of like it that way sometimes, even though I miss my good buddy Joe. It's kind of fun just to rant and rave and just bring you everything that's going on in What the Football, week 6 in the NFL. And I can tell that a lot of the teams are either ready for their bye, just tired, and just really like, let's just get through this game, because a lot of the games are either going into overtime or they are being won by 3 points. There's just a lot going on that you can tell that teams are ready to just see where we are and get to their break. So we have a lot to cover, a lot of games that were, I hate to use the word exciting every week. It just reminds me that I'm talking about maybe The Bachelor or something, where he says, oh, it's just, every week it's so exciting. But one of the games that I thought was actually exciting but funny and like, oh, did that really happen? And you know which game I'm talking about, and that would have to be the Miami game. So for those of you that I always bring up fantasy football, I'm in couple of different leagues, plus I play that survival. You had to be thinking, oh my gosh, is Tannehill really out? And now Osweiler is in for the Miami Dolphins. Whenever he comes in, it's like it's the butt of jokes. So you really look at that game and think, okay, well, it's not going to be a big deal. Chicago's playing great. Miami just doesn't have a chance, not with, interception throwing Osweiler. But you had to watch the game. And this game reminded me of how I sometimes watch basketball, meaning that when you come in at the last 2 minutes, you've figured out the entire game. But this game, so Miami defeated Chicago 31-28. See, there's that 3-point deficit I mentioned before. It was an overtime game. The Dolphins kicker, and he's a rookie kicker, Jason Sanders, converted the game-winning 47-yard field goal as time expired in overtime, and just a cute stat, marking the second longest game-winning field goal in overtime by a rookie since 1974. But this game, first of all, it was at least one game has gone into overtime in each of the first 6 weeks of 2018. So that's the first time that's ever happened. But what was sad in this game, and I do say sad, first of all, I have a friend who was betting on Chicago as his survival fantasy game. So he's like, oh, I got this. And so then so the Steeler game was over and we had 4 minutes left in overtime in the Chicago-Miami game. And they were tied at 28. And the last time I had looked at it, Chicago was ahead by 14 points. So I was like, wow, Miami came back and they really came back to tie it up. So the Dolphins were driving down the 1-yard line on the opening possession of overtime. And after a wacky long completion to Kenny Stills that went off the back of a Bears defender, then running back Kenyon Drake, he lost the ball diving into the end zone before it crossed the plane and giving the ball back to Chicago. It was so sad. I'm like, he did not. Did it cross the plane? Did it cross the plane? It did not. So now the Bears get it at the 25. So or the 20. So now it's coming back out. So then the Bears coach just ran the ball 3 times. He got little yardage. I'm like, you are 3rd and 10 and you're running it. And the field goal at that point was going to be anywhere between 52 to 55. Well, it turned out it was going to be 53. So the coach was like, oh, we'll just take the 53-yard field goal. Okay, how have the kickers been doing in the NFL in the last 6 weeks? Terrible. So basically, you had plenty of time for a pass play. What the heck are you doing? And Matt Nagy missed it, and the Dolphins came back to win it in their own 47-yard field goal. But did I mention again, Brock Osweiler got the win. Yep, him. So that was the winning football quarterback for that team. It was a crazy game. You had to see it to actually think, oh my gosh. But I felt really bad for Drake. So he had a towel on his head sitting at the sideline going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that at the goal line. But he got his butt saved by some would say Brock Osweiler. But you know what? I would give it to his kicker. So I would say, Jason, thank you. So anyway, that was a fun game. The Rams game. So here's interesting, Todd Gurley, he rushed for a career high 208 yards and had 2 touchdowns in the Rams 23-20 over Denver. That was a weird game. I just don't think Denver knows what they're doing out there. I mean, I really liked Case Keenum when he was in Minnesota last year, but I just don't think he has the pieces around him. It's just sad for him because, they gave him some money. I think that when you look at the quarterbacks and then don't talk about Payne because obviously he came in as a great quarterback, but John Elway just doesn't know how to pick quarterbacks in Denver. He's not doing it. I mean, Osweiler was one. He's got Keenum is another one. I can't even remember the other guy's name that he drafted, and it's just awful. So we'll see what happens with that. But Todd Gurley came out. He leads the NFL with 11 scrimmage touchdown this season. And, Le'Veon Bell, take notice. That's why he's being paid, because he's playing. Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. Adam Thielen, who has him on fantasy? Oh my gosh. Minnesota wide receiver Adam Thielen had 11 receptions, 123 yards, and a touchdown in the Vikings game. They won over Arizona. That was not a surprise. 27-17. Personally, it bugs me because I am not a Kirk Cousins fan, cannot stand that guy, and I don't even know why. I don't know him. I just don't like him. I just don't. I just think I don't know. He bugs me. So there you go. So there's my WTF. I'm like, really? Don't give him another win, but you know what? Good job for Adam Thielen. So let's just turn our attention a little bit to the Pittsburgh game. So did anybody watch it? Well, of course you did, Yinsers. Wide receiver Antonio Brown was silent almost the entire game. We're just like, where is AB? And we were thinking, okay, well, can they shut him down? What's going on? And Cincinnati really I didn't think when I was looking on the field, I didn't think he was that shut down. I just didn't think Ben saw certain times when he could have been open. He's starting to have some of his favorite people he's going to, and one of them is Vance McDonald, which that's okay because Vance is doing a great job. But Antonio Brown had 5 catches. It was mostly late in the game. 105 yards, caught the game-winning 31-yard touchdown with 10 seconds remaining in the game. I mean, we were screaming. We were absolutely screaming. We won 28-21. The play marked the longest go-ahead touchdown by a Steeler in the final 10 seconds of the fourth quarter since 1970. WTF, people. But the WTF moment for me was, what was Dalton doing? I mean, this is a guy who, I guess when you look at all the quarterbacks in the league, he's decent. I mean, he's not a terrible quarterback. He's just makes some decisions that you're thinking, dude, this is an example of somebody who is not a game manager. You know how they call Alex Smith a game manager? Dalton is not a game manager. He's marching down the field so fast, thinking that we've got this hot offense. And I'm like, wow. I mean, just as a football mind, I'm like, dude, go for it. This is great. We got 3 timeouts left. And have you seen Big Ben when he has a minute in the fourth quarter to work with and 3 timeouts? His 2-minute drills are epic, but okay, whatever, we'll take it. They score, and here comes Ben and company. 1:18 with, again, 3 timeouts left over. It was absolutely crazy. It was insane. I mean, it was one of Ben's best games he's had. And people talk about Aaron Rodgers all the time, and he had a great 2-minute drill yesterday too. But look at what Ben does. Look at how he just gets down that field. I mean, after Juju, best fantasy receiver I've ever had, by the way, moved the chains with catches of 8, 10, and 23 yards to get closer to really where Boswell's field goal range is. He has struggled lately, so we were like, okay, this is great. But then Ben to AB, and Brown got free and video gamed his way to a touchdown with 10 seconds left. I mean, it was crazy. And then Juju get the 2-point conversion. I mean, duh. I never had a doubt. When I saw all that time, I was like, WTF, Andy Dalton, what are you doing? But hey, thanks, dude. We appreciate that. And also, Steelers running back James Conner rushed for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns in the victory. This is the 3rd game this season with at least 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdown runs for him. He's the 5th player since 1970 to record 100 or more rushing yards and at least 2 touchdowns in 3 of his team's first 6 games of the season. So then we actually, one thing was really funny. after the game, Ben on his presser, he jokes, he said, what a great game for us he had. It was a great game for him since it's his last one, since Le'Veon will be back with us. And everybody, even the press, started laughing. I mean, Lev still has not reported, and, now we head into a bye, and I'm just thinking, Bell who? Who is he? Yeah, I don't remember either. A couple of WTF moments. Joe Hayden is going to forever remember that drop. He had a clear interception in that game right to him, and it went through his hands. And Mike Tomlin, he loves interceptions. He loved defensive turnovers. So even though Joe did break it up, he should have had that. And that actually would have made a difference in the game where it was a little bit touch and go, because our defense is just not, they're not stopping runs. They're not stopping, well, not just runs. They're not stopping points. Okay, and I'm going to say WTF, Artie Burns, he needs to go. I mean, the project is over. Can we just trade for Patrick Peterson? I mean, Arizona, isn't going anywhere. It's just, let's just call it a day. Move on. There's got to be a local high school defensive back that's better than Burns. I mean, he's so lost in coverage. His stupid penalties. And Sensabaugh is not the answer. So I'm ranting about that a little bit because I'm just over it. Every time I see him on the field, we're yelling, Burns, what the hell are you doing? Yes, I said a bad word. Sorry. But then, of course, there's always the requisite Vontaze Burfict BS. Some call them shenanigans. That's just too nice. Let's call it what it is. Dirty BS football. He opened up the game with a bunch of trash talking for Ben, actually went head hunting. If you go back and look at the tape, when Ben tried to do a quarterback sneak, breaking up also a shuffle pass in the opening drive. But the forearm elbow delivered to the head of Antonio Brown on a catch that already had AB tackled by two Cincinnati defenders was not only a late hit, but clearly intentional head hit in the third quarter. Of course, the refs were too blind or stupid to even call it. They didn't even pick it up, and so it sent not only AB to the sideline, but also Bengals safety Jesse Bates had to go to his own sideline with that hit. Burfict better have at the very least a fine coming. And why is he still in the league? I mean, between his history and everything he's done, and he just came back from a 4-game suspension for PEDs, but he has paid out over $250,000 in fines because of his dirty play. Why is he still in the league? I'm beside myself as far as how can this guy, and look at the words of Debbie DeCastro and Pouncey. They're like, he's trying to hurt people. He's not going after the ball. He's not trying to stop the play. He is trying to hurt players. I mean, who protects these players? Right now, we're only protecting quarterbacks by these ridiculous calls on the field that aren't the way to play football. But this guy is coming after and going after players' heads, going after players' knees. He's trying to take out the player, not stop the play, not take out the ball. So something needs to be done. And yes, I am absolutely pissed about it because I am getting tired of this player trying to end careers, and he's in the AFC North. So we're going to see them again. It's wrong. And I just can't even imagine what's going on through Goodell's mind when he suspends players for smoking pot, but not for headhunting. Really? That's just got to stop. Okay, we'll move on before I get too mad. So Seattle quarterback Russell Wilson, oh my gosh. Okay, so they were at Wembley Stadium in London. There was over 84,000 people there. But Wilson balled. I mean, WTF, dude. He had 17 of 23 passes completed, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw an interception, but he just absolutely annihilated, him and his team, the Raiders. I mean, for me, I was never really sold on the Hooters and Corona Beer spokesman, John Gruden, as a coach. But him returning to football, I mean, it's been over 9 years. It was in 2008, and he was losing in Tampa Bay. And he's been in ESPN broadcast booth for how long? Last 5-6 years. It's kind of like they said to him, well, I know you're not a coach, but you play one on TV. So do you think you can come back and coach the Raiders? He's been out of football so long. You can just see it. I mean, the game has changed. He's not forward thinking. He's getting rid of his best players. Khalil Mack, I'll keep saying that. Now it sounds like Amari Cooper's on the trade block. He's giving up 3rd-round picks to the Steelers for Martavis Bryant, cuts him in preseason, brings him back, and Martavis is doing what he does. He's dropping balls everywhere, and he couldn't even say his name right. But it's just, I just don't understand what they see in this guy. He's not Sean McVay. He's not one of these younger coaches who are out there adding pieces to their existing team to make what they have work. He's trying to strip his team to make a team that he wants. And nowadays, you've got to stop with the fire sale unless these are not good players. He's got really good players. And so, he's trying to make it work for him again, instead of making the team work and bringing players around it. It's just a mess. They're 1-5. Their only win was an overtime win versus the Browns. That was actually a referee mistake, not calling a fumble on Derek Carr, and gave them the game. So it's really sad. And we just hope to see Gruden again back in the ESPN booth. I mean, I actually liked hearing him up there. Sean McDonough was a little bit nails on a chalkboard for me, but it's just sad what they're doing in Oakland. And what's sad about it, think of these fans. This could be their last year there before they move to Las Vegas. And so, they're going to have to pay money to go fly from Oakland to fly to Vegas to actually see this team again. And this year is just really sad. So it's a WTF team right now. And it's just sad. Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott, he had a really, really good game. Finally, a good game. Cowboys win 40-7 against Jacksonville. And that's my WTF. Thank you, God, for getting Jacksonville, cutting them down. I realize they don't have Fournette. But, finally someone to shut up the Jags and their holier-than-thou attitude. They bug me. They just bug me. Yes, they bug me because they've beaten the Steelers a couple times, and we have not played well against them. But I just get tired of their constant jawing about just how great they are. So, yeah, that for me was a great, great win. And I'm not a Dallas fan, but that was a good win. And then New York Jets kicker, the Jets won 42-34 against Indianapolis, which, I think Andrew Luck is back. He's got to be sore, but he's actually doing some decent things on the field. But Jason Myers, the New York Jets kicker, oh my gosh, WTF, he converted all 7 of his field goal attempts and made 3 of his extra points. Total 24 total points. That's the second highest single game total by a player who did not score a touchdown in NFL history. So, as much as I don't think the Jets are going to get anywhere, but when they win a decent game, you got to give them a little bit of a shout out there. So Sunday Night Football, how many of you were waiting for it? Even though you're not a Pats fan, nobody wants to be really a Patriots fan, especially if you're a Steelers fan. But when you see what Kansas City's out there doing and being 5-0, and they go to Patriots, one of my best friends, he is a Kansas City diehard fan, just like I'm a Steeler fan, and he's just been kind of a rooster, I would say, and basically saying, Kansas City's this and that. I said, I think they're having a great year, and I think your, sophomore quarterback is doing great. Remember, he sat behind Alex Smith for a year. But last year they had 5-0 start as well with Alex Smith. But until they go in and win in Foxborough, which, let's face it, the refs in Foxborough, they love the Patriots. They never give them penalties. They never give them any kind of, mistake issues or anything. And guess what happened again? No penalties. Who does that? Yeah, whatever. But they both had at least 40 points in the game. It was such an offensive game. And that's, I think, what's going to stall Kansas City is that Justin Houston was taken out, but their defense is just not working. They're getting so many points and giving up so many points to people. It's crazy. But when you allow 41-year-old Tom Brady and you basically let him have a rushing touchdown. Are you kidding me right now? I mean, it was really sad. The Patriots didn't even punt the entire game, and you're going to go in and beat Bill Belichick? No, you're not. You're going to lose. And they did. They lost 43-40. So it was a crazy game, but at least you can see, Kansas City did a really decent job, but they did not win. So now the only undefeated team out there would be the Rams, and that would be their 6-0. So now let's talk Ravens. Now everybody was like, okay, Titans, can you just do your job? Please just try and beat the Ravens. But, they're just not a good team right now. They're just a kind of a mess. I felt really bad for Marcus Mariota, who, he's getting sacked 11 times in the game. 11 sacks in that game against the Titans quarterback. And they only had 9 coming into week 6, which is actually still a lot. But this is just unfair to any quarterback. It was just a mess. And everybody's like, oh, look how great the Ravens are. Well, they're playing decent, But when you play a team that's so bad, you can't just put it all on that team. So, yeah, they won. It just kind of bugs me. But, yeah, they won. So now at least we are not at the bottom anymore. So when I say we, I mean the Steelers. The Texas game, Bills game, was interesting. So Houston won 20-13, which is not, gave me the WTF pause. But the fact that Buffalo still has Nathan Peterman as their backup quarterback to Josh Allen, who got taken out. He's the worst turnover quarterback than Osweiler, even the Mark Sanchez of old. I mean, this guy's just bad. But the WTF report for me was there was a report that wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin told Josh Allen during warmups that he didn't want to work on routes prior to the game. And my next question is, wait, what? And that was several reported. It wasn't just a rumor out there. To me, I'd be like, dude, do you want to participate in payroll? Or actually, do you want to be in the NFL? Who says no to their quarterback, rookie or not, about running routes? Let's get better before the game. Let's do a couple things. It's just amazing to me, some of these players that just think they're bigger than the game. Can I shout out Bell again? And then to end our WTF this week, well, before I do that, if you saw Monday Night Football, of course, Aaron Rodgers was the favorite to come in and beat San Francisco. They were at home, but the Green Bay Packers have not been playing well. Well, I figured, you know what? You've got Breathard, and I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but he's not Jimmy Garoppolo. He's out, And I was just like, I've got this. My survival fantasy was Green Bay. Okay, well, I didn't think I was going to win. It was such a back and forth game. But again, you give Aaron Rodgers the ball with a minute left, he's going to take it. And he did. And they came back and won the game. And actually, it was Mason Crosby, who last week missed those 4 field goals and 2 extra points this week. He was perfect, had his 3 field goals, his extra points, and he had the game winner. And so to me, WTF, don't make me wait to the end of my seat to win my fantasy. And then to end our WTF this week, the Browns' 1-game winning streak is over. The LA Chargers beat them 38-14. But the best WTF of that game call, because I actually heard some of it when it was my birthday on Sunday. Thank you. But I was hearing some of it in the car, and they kept calling it San Diego Chargers. Now, I live right between LA and San Diego, so I'm in the Laguna Beach area, and I forget to call them LA Chargers. I have to pause and think about it first, so believe me, I get that. But the Browns are what they are. They're the Browns. So, just like you've heard the coaches say before, they are who we thought they are. They're playing a lot better. They do have a couple of wins. But now this means that the Steelers are not at the bottom with them. So we moved up again. We're in the 3rd place spot, and we're continuing to go. So we know what it means to play in this time. Usually this is when we go on our winning streak. And we have a bye now, and we'll see if anybody shows up, any other running back that wants to just come play football. We'll see what happens. But this WTF week, we had a couple of things that were definitely giving pause. So hopefully you'll be reading something saying that Burfict is getting not only fined, but also a suspension for his play. But for those of you, write your cards and letters. Go shout out to the commissioner. He's on, Twitter at NFL Commish. This has got to stop. It has got to stop. So hopefully with as much heat as he's getting on this, just go find the video, tag him in it, and say, WTF Commish, why is he still in the league? Because this has to stop. We're not going to have a game. It's taking the integrity of the game away, and he has got dirty players do not have a place in this league, so they got to get out. So anyway, everybody make it a great week and make it a great day. And until next time, have a great one.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.